They talk about the boom, but do they mention the bust? The headlines scream luxury, but the numbers don't lie. It's time to look the market straight in the eye.
Welcome to the Miami Condo Exchange, where we break down the price, the scope, and the range.
With Peter Zalewski, the authority here, making the complex simple, making the murky clear. From the buy side pressure to the sell side heat, we're tracking every move on the concrete street. We got the data, the stats, the metrics you need. Beyond the flash and the glamour, we're planting the seed of truth. We analyze the trends, we map out the spread. Is it vintage charm or a money pit trap? We're looking at the analytics, closing the gap. Past performance, present shock, future prediction. Separating hard reality from the friction of fiction. No sugarcoating, no fluff, no disguise. Just the raw condo numbers right before your eyes. South Florida is shifting, the tides start to turn. If you don't know the math, you're gonna get burned. Yeah, this is the Miami Condo Exchange.
Welcome to the Miami Condo Exchange, where we break down the price, the scope, and the range.
With Peter Zalewski, keeping it real, digging deep in the dirt of every single deal. From the buy side pressure to the sell side heat, the only podcast you need on the Miami street. Hey.
Real numbers, real talk.
The hyperbole stops here. This is the Miami Condo.
Number exchange, y'all.
Happy Tuesday, Miami. This is a Miami Condo Exchange, a podcast about what's going on in the South Florida condo market from a metrics, a trends, and analytics, and also a big picture idea of what's going on number-wise in the Tri-County, South Florida area of Miami-Dade, Broward, Palm Beach County. What are we talking about today? We are talking about a surge in transactions that are occurring to the point where the South Florida Condo Association Financial Cliff, it actually went up 10% week over week. Why is it going up? Is it going to keep going up? And what does that mean if you are a buyer? And what does that mean if you are a seller? We're going to be getting into all that today on the podcast. And we also have a special guest. She's making a cameo this week. This is going to be Jenny Huertas. She's a broker owner of CVR Realty. She'll be joining us on the podcast to sort of provide some interpretation about what's going on in the trenches related to the marketplace. I should tell you, I'm Peter Zalewski. I'm a condo consultant, expert witness, and the founder of the Miami Condo Investing Club. Every Tuesday at 4 o'clock, I go live and I give you an idea of what's going on in the data side of the South Florida condo market. This condo market's made up of a lot of hyperbole, some tremendous marketing that goes all the way back to the 1920s. A great book called Bubble in the Sun. I'm reading it for a 7th time, and every single time I read that book, I find out something new. And one of the things that I just remembered in going through it last night, George Merrick, the guy who built Coral Gables, he actually spent about $4 million in today's dollars annually at trying to market the Coral Gables project when it was a single-family home development project. He spent $2 million hiring reporters to do basically press releases, and then he spent another $2 million in advertising. So it's always about the marketing. And you know what happened 100 years ago? What happened 100 years ago is when the market started going sideways, all of these developers, it didn't matter if it was George Merrick out of Coral Gables, Addison Meisner out of Boca Raton, or even Carl Fisher in Miami Beach, they all started saying the negative news, the negative stories, the negative trends was all propaganda. That has nothing to do with the real marketplace because Miami, trees grow to the moon here. So that was the argument 100 years ago, and that is the argument today. And we've been telling you for a number of weeks, actually all during the winter buying season, We thought there was going to be a buildup in and around the peak of the winter buying season. Remember, winter goes from November through April. We said we thought there would be a peak. Those people who need to get out, they would probably cut bait, try to discount their prices. And then once we hit the symbolic peak of the winter buying season, which is this weekend, President's Day weekend, it's the traditional symbolic midway point of the buying season. You always know it is because you got the Coconut Grove Arts Festival and you got the Miami Beach International Boat Show. Those two pretty much represent, we're at the midway point, and now we're on the other side of the bell curve. If you're looking at a calendar, the midway point is going to be February the 1st. Because remember, winter buying season goes from November through April. And right in around now is the peak, and the data is showing it. Why is the data showing that we're seeing this tremendous spike in the index? I'm going to fill you in on that. I'm going to share some charts with you. I'm going to give you numbers, specific numbers, our numbers that we're collecting for this South Florida Condo Cliff Index. We collect them every Tuesday. And we collect them in the morning, and then we go live at 4 o'clock, and we give you some input as to what's going on real time. Many of you might watch the stock market. Well, stock market is supposed to be an indicator of what's going on in the economy. If you want to know what happened in the economy, you take a look at the unemployment numbers. And I would make the argument to you that when you're looking at closed sales data, it's like unemployment numbers. It's in the past. Things change. Remember where you were on April the 1st of 2025? Remember where you were on April the 2nd of 2025? That was the Liberation Day announcement. That's when President Donald Trump came out and said, we are now taking tariffs on average to 17% across the board, according to Morgan Stanley. Prior to that, they were 4%. So the market tumbled, a variety of things, different change. It has since come back roaring, but there's still a lot of questions and concerns about affordability. But point I'm making is you got to look at it real time. You can't necessarily look at what happened in the past. And the problem with closed sales data, if you're trying to track it, if the data is released at the end of a quarter and then there's some processing time, you might be 120 days removed from what actually happened. And just like Liberation Day, one day to the other can make a dramatic difference. And that's why we use this index. And for the index, I should tell you, we track the overall market. We also track the vintage market. What is the vintage market? That's all those condos at least 30 years older or old or older. Why are they of critical importance? Because back in June of 2021, there was a condo collapse, Champlain Tower South. It went down at Surfside on the Barrier Island, just north of Miami Beach, just south of Bell Harbor. Nearly 100 people died. A $1 billion settlement was paid out to the families of the victims. The insurance companies pushed back and they said, how are we supposed to insure these associations if we don't understand what they are? The Florida legislature followed suit. They put in place all kinds of requirements now, including a inspection done every 10 years called the Structural Integrity Reserve Study, as well as a milestone inspection done at year 30. So effectively, every 10 years, you are getting a special assessment. Why? Because there's going to be a study done. And what's happening is now suddenly all of the cash that needs to be raised to do all the fixes that have been deferred for years and years and years, it all has to start to be collected this year, 2026. And or if the association can't afford it, they can make the decision to take out a loan. What are the interest rates on some of these loans? As high as 9 or 10%. It's a hard money loan effectively. If a bank's not going to get into it, it's going to be a Wall Street type of lender, and that's where it starts to get interesting. So what's happening as a result of that? People are heading for the exits. They can't necessarily afford to live in these condos, and they are looking to exit. Why? Because you can rent cheaper in South Florida than you can to own one of these condos, and that is leading to a pullback in pricing, suddenly a increase in sales, because as prices fall, people are getting off the couch and saying, you know what, that actually looks like a pretty good value. So the question for you then is, buyers going in today, and I'm going to show you the charts, are they catching a falling knife? This is the cliche you always, always, always hear about when it comes to investing. Do you go in too early, and are you catching a falling knife? And what does that mean? When somebody drops a knife, if you were to reach out, you can cut yourself as the knife goes onward. That's what everybody's concerned about. Or is this actually the bottom? And now, after slow sales, dramatically falling sales, could we suddenly see an uptick? Why? Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell, the guy's on the way out, the guy that Donald Trump, the president, has been jawboning over and over and over. He's cut interest rates 3 times. Mortgage rates haven't adjusted. They're higher now than they were before the cuts began in September of 2025. So that is the question. That's where we stand at the midway point of the 2025-2026 South Florida winter buying season. Again, November through April. All that being said, let me go ahead and bring in Jenny Huertas. Jenny's going to come on, and she is going to talk about effectively. She'll fill in some of the color based on some of the data I'm going to show you. So what we're going to do is we're going to show you data. We're going to show you what's going on in the marketplace, and then she's going to be able to chime in because she's in the trenches. She is working with the buyers and primarily going up against some of these sellers who need to exit. So let me go ahead and try to bring Jenny in right now. First time we're doing this, so, bear with us if it goes sideways, but I'm very optimistic it's going to work. So let's see if I've been able to figure this out. So let's see if Jenny Huertas is joining us. There she is. Jenny Huertas.
Hey, Peter.
Broker owner of CVR Realty. My partner, anybody comes to me looking for a real estate deal, I send them all to Jenny. Jenny's a veteran. She used to be a financier. Now she's been doing real estate north of 20 years. She has a team. And you know what she also does? She has a vintage condo division, a division that specializes in going after some of these old projects. Jenny, I got so excited with the numbers and everything that's going on, I forgot to mention and say hello. How are you doing today? And thanks for jumping on the podcast. It wasn't scheduled. You and I normally do it on Mondays when we do Miami Condo Mondays every Monday at 4 o'clock live stream. But now you're going back to back. You got 2 days in a row.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. Everything is good. I am so excited about this news. It's like breaking news.
It is breaking news because, we've been going back and forth trying to understand what was happening in the market. Jenny, if you remember, over the course of the summer, you said it felt like 2007. It felt like where we were in 2007. If anybody doesn't remember the last go around, which began in 2002 and ultimately ended in about 2011, then we started building again in 2012. So 2006 was really the peak. 2007, we started to pull back. 2008, we bottomed out on the sales perspective, right in and around the time that Lehman Brothers, the investment bank on Wall Street, went sideways. Then prices started to fall significantly, and it wasn't until 2010, Jenny, that prices ultimately bottomed, and they hugged the bottom, and by 2012, we started building again. So over the summer, you said it feels like 2007. So I went in, I pulled the numbers, I then ran numbers past AI, and everybody agreed with you. You were dead on. So I thought it was important to bring you in today, because we just seen, Jenny, this tremendous surge in transactions. And why is that important? Because we have an index, Jenny. We update it every single week. We started January the 1st of 2025. We are tracking 23 markets overall and another 23 markets for vintage. We look at South Florida. We look at Miami-Dade County. We look at Broward. We look at Palm Beach. We look at Coconut Grove, the Gables, Little Havana, Key Biscayne, North Bay Village, Hollywood, Hallandale, Fort Lauderdale, Pompano, Boca Raton, Delray and Boynton, and West Palm Beach. So we're looking at all the market, Jenny, and we're seeing something dramatic that's occurring. Are you surprised by that, given the call we made coming into the winter, that you thought people would probably sit tight? They try to get their money, and once we hit that midway point, that bell curve, and people started to realize that the hurricane season was around the corner, the humidity was around the corner, fewer events were going to be going on, that suddenly, you were going to see sellers look to unload. Any of this surprise you, or did this go as you expected?
I was expecting it, but I didn't expect the velocity. I didn't expect that it was going to be so dramatic when I saw the stats. That's what surprises me. I did expect it because, first of all, the rates for mortgages start easing somewhat, and 6.5% is better than 8%. I mean, that's for the numbers. So yeah, but I was really surprised to see the amount of activity. Yeah, it was it's pretty good. It's pretty good for buyers. Buyers have to shop
as well. Jenny, before we go ahead and show the people the charts and we really kind of dig into the numbers, I should suggest to everybody, listen, we do tours every Saturday. We're doing a tour this Saturday of Coral Gables. Coral Gables is in a sell-off right now. Prices have pulled back on a year-over-year basis in the first half of the winter buying season between November and January. They pulled back 12%. We're talking price per square foot is actually fallen 12%. So if you bought us last winter, you're looking at the prices today, you're saying, oh my gosh, am I catching a falling knife? Are prices going to continue to go forward? And Jenny, I'm going to ask you that question, but I don't want you to answer it right now. But what I do want to say is, Jenny, on Saturday from 10 to 1, we're going to go out. We're going to do a walking tour of Coral Gables, following week what we do in Brickell Avenue area. Week after that, we're going to do Coconut Grove. Then we'll continue on and on and on. Every Saturday, 10 to 1. If you guys want information about the tours, go to miamicondo.club or go directly to the ticketing firm. The website is miamicondoclub.eventbrite.com. When you go on one of these tours, spend about 3 hours. We travel about 4 miles, moderate pace. We take breaks along the way. I give you a list of all the condo projects that exist within a particular market. I teach you how to analyze buildings because, Jenny, what do we always say? You find the building first, and once you got the building that makes sense, then you look for the unit because so many people waste time. jumping around at this unit and that unit and that unit and this unit. Then they get the condo declaration, they get the information, they say, it's not going to work for me. So, Jenny, you're still in agreement, right? Nothing changed. Find the building first, and then you look for the unit?
Yeah, absolutely. You had to do the homework prior to getting out there. Going in the tour gives you an amazing sense of, first of all, you learn how to read the building just with the stats. And second of all, when you walk, you really can see who your neighbors are, the feeling for the neighborhood. There is an alternative. Like Coral Gables is a great alternative for people that cannot afford downtown Miami because it's way too expensive. So yes, I definitely encourage anybody to go there, even if you are curious about condos or if you are a realtor, you should go. And if you're a buyer, bring your realtor. It's okay. But you need to do this because you're gonna be happy you did, actually.
And so everybody knows I'm not selling you anything. The only thing I'm doing is I'm teaching a college level class, I would say, and maybe I'm being a little presumptuous. I'm teaching a college level class about the condo market. I'm teaching you little things that you can go and use out in the marketplace. For instance, how do you know when a building's ready to come online? Have they put in the palm trees on the pool deck on the 8th floor? That's a good sign. How do you know if a building is getting ready to go through a restoration? How do you know if a building is a condo or a rental? Take a look at the balconies. There's all kinds of little tricks I will teach you. You can add it to your collection, your tools, your rules of thumb, if you will. And then when you go out there and you play the game, the key is not to waste time. There's so many damn condos in the Tri-County, South Florida area that people waste too much time looking at this, looking at that. And you get what they call paralysis by analysis. We teach you how to kind of cut through it all and understand exactly what's going on. And to give you a big picture perspective, there's about 28,250 condo associations in the state of Florida, 1.2 million units. In South Florida, Miami-Dade, Broward, Palm Beach County, you're looking at 610,000 units and roughly 13,000 associations. So if you were to go through every single one of those, you wouldn't get anywhere. So what we're suggesting is find the building. Once you find the building, then you figure out what the pricing is, and you're able to go in there and know that even though it's going to be your forever condo, you might not be upside down if Jamie Dimon of JP Morgan says, hey, remember I told you can work from home? Well, I need you back on Wall Street. Those are the people we're getting jammed up right now because they came down here, Jenny. During the pandemic, they started buying. They thought they were going to work from home. And next thing you know, they're back in Silicon Valley or they're back on Wall Street. And you know what, Jenny? The rents are not covering the carry for them. And that, I think, is why a lot of people are looking to exit.
Exactly. No, there is no information whatsoever in the market like yours, and you have really bragging rights, and it's not advertising. This is true. It's no way that somebody can be really fair. You're not killing the market or making the market. The stats talk, and you just put it out there. And you're going to learn this information. If nobody touch it, you're going to learn it too late. So, you definitely have to follow Peter, join the club.
And join the club. And if you are interested in joining the club, we're building a community of people interested in the condo market. We use data to sort of bring it all around. We do a monthly meeting. Anybody who is a club member tomorrow, we always do it on the second Wednesday of every month. Tomorrow, we're doing our club meeting. It goes from 12 to about 1:15. I will tell you where we're at, where we were, where we're going. Again, second Wednesday of every month. And then on the third Tuesday of every month, we do a meetup where people are able to get together, talk shop, share war stories, picture services, stuff like that. Because we have members all throughout the Tri-County area, we rotate. Last month, we did the Gables. This month, we're doing greater downtown Miami. That'll be basically a week from today, next Tuesday. So if anybody wants more information on the club, go to miamicondo.club. Jenny, this is the point in the podcast where I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start to share the charts. I've been talking about it. They were getting people all hyped about it. Now it's time to actually show them what exactly we are seeing. And it's also a good time to let people know you're watching this live, therefore you're seeing it for free. However, once the podcast has been recorded, we are going to edit it, template mostly, just for looks, play with the sound if that's necessary. And then we're going to make it available. But this point onward will be on a paywall. So the only way you'll get access after the fact is simply by being a club member, MiamiCondo.club. Otherwise, tune in every weekday at 4 o'clock, and I'm doing another podcast. So, Jenny, you ready to kind of get in the numbers? You ready to kind of shock everybody with what we're seeing? Again, week over week, everybody, week over week, this is what occurred. I was like, what's going on here? So I went back and I checked the numbers over and over and over, and it's across the board. We are just like liftoff. This is like one of Elon Musk's rockets taking off. We'll just have to see if it ends properly or not so properly. And that's really sort of the question, Jenny. Remember, are we catching a falling knife or are people buying at the bottom and it's upward from here? So, Jen, I'm going to go ahead and pull up. We're going to start off first with the line charts. People got a good sense. This way they can visualize it. And then if they're visualizing it, it'll make it a little bit easier. So there we go. All right, Jenny, we are sharing our screen. And what we got on the screen, you see a nice little ad for the tour this Saturday, Coral Gables. Go to miamicondo.club if you want information. Jenny, let me scroll down. I'm going to start off with effectively, and this is the back end. This will be a report that I publish as soon as this podcast is over. By the way, if you're a self-site, there's an ad for that. Join a club. Gives you an advantage on that. That doesn't matter. That's from before. That's from last week. I'm in the process of updating it. Bear with me. And there, Jenny, in all its glory, is the Condo Cliff Index. I want everybody to look at that. Look at this spike that occurred on a week-over-week basis.